Well, God bless you, brothers and sisters. Thanks for stopping by again. Jericho here. Okay, I'm in Washington State. I'm trying to assist the stepdad in establishing a church in the southern part of Everett, Washington. Everything in my gut, everything in my spirit, everything in my soul is telling me this is not going to end well. But as I said, and again I repeat, not to boast because I have nothing to boast about, but my good nature continued to assist. And yet I knew it was not going to end on a good note. I continued to get the phone calls. I continued to call him. He began to use a word, and I'll explain why he would use these words just in a second. But he began to use a word because I asked him, I said, what are you talking about? The special elect or this special group of people that's going to move to the West Coast, as opposed to the not so special people that's going to stay back in Ohio. So he began to use this word. The word is caliber. Caliber. Excuse me, caliber. He said, well, some people have a higher spiritual caliber than others. Okay. All right. And how are we the ones to know the caliber, the spiritual caliber? And he said, I know these people so well, and there's so many of these people back here that's just, they're not on that high spiritual caliber level. Now, let me explain this word caliber. I know this is going to sound very degrading, but really I don't mean it this way because I realized he was a very, very inferior individual. But every once in a while, he would somehow lock into a word. I don't know if he looked it up or heard it somewhere. And most of the time, I'm not even sure if he understood the meaning of the word. But for months and months, actually longer than that, maybe a year or two, he locked into this word called criteria. And he used a variation of that word, criterion. And he would try to fit that word into as many places in his messages as possible. And somehow he was trying to sound like he was on a higher spiritual caliber. And I know sometimes when he used that word, he had no idea what the word actually meant. And likewise with this word caliber. I realize that there are people that, as the scripture says, desire the sincere milk of the word. I guess you could use that word caliber. They're a lower caliber spiritually. But Paul said, that meat belonged to the aged. It's like a baby, they can't start eating meat. Their dietary system, their metabolism, the functions of their internal organs are on a lower caliber than an adult. So I guess in some context that word is okay, but I grew up with these people. He had been preaching to these people and pastoring them for years and years. And in his mind, they were not at the caliber spiritually that he thought they should be. Well, what I was seeing was something totally different. This Micah the Minor Prophet ministry and this special elect, this special group, this higher spiritual caliber of people that he's talking about moving to the West Coast, that, my friend, sounded to me like a very low caliber spiritually, because what I saw was an escalation of a cult. And spiritual cults, which in actuality, once Satan gets a hold of that completely, it goes beyond a cult. It turns into a spiritual occult. Satan is in the driver's seat. Once Satan locks his talons or his fangs into a person's spirit and into their soul and into their mind and deceives them, now we're talking about the occult with the devil at the helm. So the phone calls continued, and I was beginning to be very, very, very frustrated. And now I'm starting to get angry because I knew this wasn't right. And I thought, well, these phone calls are not making any progress whatsoever, so I'm going to make a trip back there. So fast forward, I made a trip back to Ohio. And I believe it was the summer of '84. And this has been going on for almost a year now, because I wanted to speak to him face to face. I loaded up my family. We went back to Ohio. We stayed with my cousin and her husband. The plan was to attend church on Sunday and then see if I could speak to him after service on Sunday. Well, word got around that I was in town, and word got back to me that I was not welcome at the church service that Sunday. And I thought, what in the world is going on? Now, folks, I know this story. My story sounds bizarre. It sounds crazy. It sounds weird, but this is true. These are facts. So we didn't go to service that Sunday. After the service, my cousin, her husband, and about, I believe, 15 to 20 people came over to my cousin's house after the service. And they were loaded with questions. And they told me exactly what happened in the service that afternoon, which let me know why I was not allowed to attend that service. And I'm going to pick that up in the next video. So until next time, God bless. I certainly appreciate you stopping by. If you haven't subscribed, or you know people that could subscribe, have them subscribe. Give me thumbs up, thumbs down, comments, questions, and we will continue the story. And above all, protect your freedom. And remember, Jesus Christ, the Jesus Christ of the Bible, of the Scriptures, is the only way, the only truth, and the only life.